What's happening now across the Niagara frontier? News stories, old stories, stuff you know about and stuff you'd never believe. It's the NiagaraHub Soapbox with Craig Avery.
All right. In our continuing mayoral Who's Running for Mayor series here, we have a mayoral candidate, Bob Pascoal. Bob is known in this community as the president of the Landlord Association, a good friend of the community, and we're anxious to see some of your ideas for running for mayor. You prepared actually a statement. Bob's I've gotten to know Bob a little bit here, and he's certainly a no-nonsense type of a guy. So he comes all ready. He goes, I just want to read my statement, and let's get to work.
Right.
So I'm going to let you do that, man. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Craig.
And tell us what you're thinking about here, buddy.
Well, okay, this was when I announced a few weeks back, I made a promise in that announcement. So I'll make this really quick. And then actually, this is the foundation for people to ask me more questions. And I'm open to that. So
Well, take your time. Don't read it fast.
Okay.
Don't be garbled. I'll sit back and relax.
3 weeks ago, I announced my candidacy for mayor of the city of Niagara Falls, New York. In that announcement, I promised to deliver my work pledge within the upcoming weeks. Today, I humbly submit this pledge so you might understand my intentions as mayor. I promise to listen to you, the residents, and maximize our resources to meet your needs. I will not ignore problems like frozen pipes in the winter. That was a health and safety issue. I'll fix things when they break and ask questions later. Residents must come first. I promise all city residents, business owners, visitors, and employees who interact with City Hall or related departments, you will be treated with dignity and respect. I will establish practices that will make transactions with the city easier, such as an issue ticket reporting system that you can follow and a user-friendly website for easier access to information. Our attitude will be, how can I help you? I promise to eliminate the blight that continues to endanger the prosperity of our city. I will resurrect the 2009 Comprehensive Plan, specifically the core of our city, through programs like One Region Forward's Citizen Planning School and the resources available through the Governor's Regional Economic Development Council. Quote, and I'm taking this from an article from Web Planners, because downtowns are the heart of a city and region, and having a healthy heart is essential to having a strong city and region. I promise to treat every sector of our population, homeowners, tenants, landlords, small and large businesses, firemen, policemen, city workers, and teachers with the respect each deserves. I promise to increase home ownership in the city by at least 1% a year, because home ownership is a hallmark of a prosperous community. In addition, I promise to increase property values by 3% a year without raising taxes. I promise to work with all levels of law enforcement to lower crime by 10% a year so locals and visitors feel safe in our city. One of my focuses will be to vigorously enforce and prosecute our nuisance ordinance, because everyone deserves the quiet enjoyment of their residence. Having to deal with neighborhood bullies and nuisances is one of the prime reasons people are leaving Niagara Falls. I promise to improve the financial situation of the city in 3 ways. First, by implementing more effective technology to improve operational efficiencies. By linking departments, we will save substantial time and money and give our city service providers the tools they need to do a good job. Second, by critically reviewing all expenses and eliminating any that do not add significant value to our city or will cost us more money than provide us with benefits over time. And third, by growing our sales tax base, because we can only become fiscally sound if we welcome development. I promise to write and follow a plan for the responsible use of casino revenue for things that will enhance the lives of the people of this city, while at the same time creating returns for our residents in the form of increased demand for others to locate here. I promise to do everything I can to keep the businesses we have by removing onerous burdens, including reducing or eliminating the 2-tier tax system on smaller businesses, and by letting prospective companies know that we are open for business, a great place to locate, and that we'll do everything we can to make that happen. I promise to promote the creation of a business incubator. I promise to work with neighborhood block clubs to shine the light on the good things they do and to be a booster in their campaign to encourage more neighbors to get involved. This will be seen in an increase in the number of people who become members. I promise to work with landlords to help them improve the habitability of our rental housing and to treat them like the important economic engine they are. I promise to use the office of mayor as a bully pulpit to advocate for the creation of a conference of mayors to address the issues outside of our immediate control, but have a direct impact on the quality of life of the residents of Western New York, like welfare reform, residency requirements for benefits, and a more liberal, fast-track adoption process of home rule to better reflect the needs of Western New York. And last, I promise to work fast and achieve measurable, visible results so that those who have spent their lives here and are now in their golden years get to see the positive changes reminiscent when they were young. Progress you can measure.
Well, you got that going for you. Do you promise to put cardboard in the green tote?
My wife has to constantly remind me of that. I am not the best recycler, but I try.
Actually, I saw your video, which is pretty cool. Bob created a video a long time ago when we had the little confusion on green and blue totes and
Correct.
How do we get rid of garbage in this city. And then at one time it was presented the landlords would be responsible for their tenants. So you put together a video, and your tenants actually view this thing, and it shows them how to throw this stuff away, basically.
Correct.
Right?
And you know, recycling in this town is not as simple as it sounds. There are other places that have different requirements. These are pretty strict requirements here, and it's not so easy to know what really needs to be recycled. I mean, you do see that little picture on there, but there are subtle nuances. So we actually, Chris and I put this video together on a shoestring budget, zero, and we did it in a few hours here at the hub. And we did it because there was that threat that if landlords didn't educate their clients, their tenants, that they would end up being responsible and they would be penalized for their behavior, which, to be honest with you, I still think that's an unfair proposition. I mean, why wouldn't we want to hold the parents responsible for their behavior? I mean, that's equally as ridiculous, but it makes just as much sense.
Or in-laws.
Or in-laws.
In-laws are always
right.
the place.
So we did put together this video. We were waiting for the city. It just was taking a little bit longer. So I got together with Modern, and we met down in the basement. They kind of gave me some schooling, and so now we're able to say, okay, this is what we'd like you to do. And we also came up with an agreement, an addendum to the lease that specifies that this is a punishable offense. You've really got to follow the rules here. So after we give them that information and we educate them, it's our hope that they will do the right thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I really think that's what we've got to do in the city in general. Don't wait around for someone else to come up with the rules or to what to do or how to get around this or that. Just do it. Take it back.
Right.
That bothered you for enough time to say, I'm doing my own damn video. And
right,
so
and it can be,
cool.
at this moment, it's available for anybody to use. So even if you're not a member of the association, because education is not about keeping things private, it's about getting information out. So
Sure.
any landlord out there that wants to use this as a tool to show their tenant how to properly dispose of trash, it's a great tool.
There you go.
Yeah,
You did it.
It takes a few minutes, but you know what? Here's the thing. I think it's about a 9-minute video, but the 9 minutes it takes, a tenant it's like a wind-up doll. If they get it wrong, and before you know it, they're going off the edge of the table, and you're stuck with a major problem. Trash is building up, and now you've got to deal with it.
Yeah. Cool. A lot of promises there, buddy.
Yes. Yes.
When you say specifically 1% of this or 3% of that, how can you? When there's a measure right there, if you don't make your 3%, you're a failure.
Exactly. That's okay. So 1% increase in home ownership. I've actually, taking on this role and getting involved, it's actually forced me to look at my life, and I've had life experiences. And in the 80s, I was a real estate broker in New Hampshire, in the Manchester area, and I actually helped 3 people become homeowners. They were first-time buyers, and it started off with a seminar and then it got a little bit more granular. So I actually would stay in touch with these people. Now, back then, rates were somewhere around 18%. It was really high. If you remember in the 80s, prime was really high. So we had an 8.5 or 7-8% New Hampshire housing first-time homeowners thing. So what happened is that I made relationships with these three people, and I would check on them on a monthly basis. How you doing? Are you saving your money? Yeah, because really, if you think about what it takes to own a home, you really got to be conservative with your spending. You've got to save for your down payment. You've got to plan. And what happened is that three people actually kind of, you want to call it, graduated the program because I worked with them hand in hand. Well, we have people here in Niagara Falls that could duplicate those efforts and magnify those efforts. It's funny because the reason why I came up with that, I was over at Hyde Park on the 4th of July, and this woman said, I want to own a home. I want to own a home. And that's what we want, right? We want people from everywhere that wants to own a home. And sometimes it just takes a program to help them out.
It's affordable.
It's
doable.
It's so doable. You don't need big down payments.
That's 50,000 is 500 people. You're going to have 500 people you're going to help get in single-handedly.
No, because
I wouldn't remember their name.
50,000 people would be that. Not every person qualifies for a home like that. Okay. You have families.
Oh, all right.
You have a lot, and then
1% of the current owners.
Yeah, you've got to say what's the home ownership now, right? How many single-family homes? Right now, I think there's something like 43% of the housing units are rented by landlords. Okay. So it's a much. It's you know what I mean. It's right. And you know, 1% might be ambitious, but I mean, I think it's a doable goal. I think that if we really get down and worked at it, we could make it happen. I really believe that.
All right. The nuisance thing. What's that all about?
The nuisance is the nuisance ordinance is it's a tool that the city has in its tool chest, and what it's supposed to do is recognize when there's a problem, and the problems can range from domestic disputes to domestic violence, gunplay, drugs, which are more serious.
Nuisance.
But it could be repeated loud noise and fighting, and total disregard for the people around them. So as I mentioned in the promise here, to work on this vigorously, because I can't tell you how many people I came across that want to move, are either planning to or want to move because of the noise next door. So what the nuisance ordinance does is that it lays out in a point system different types of violations. And what I'd like to see, and we don't see enough of, first of all, I'm not so sure people are as aware of this nuisance ordinance as they should be, as a tool to help quiet their own neighborhood, which is something we should get that word out. There's a nuisance ordinance and you can use it to help you. Now, what will happen is that points get assessed on a property, and if enough points get assessed, then penalties could range up to, say, the loss of the ability to rent that property for up to 1 year.
Wow.
Okay. There are best practices that are being looked at in other cities and states. I had a chance to work with Captain O'Connick out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's a city similar to Niagara Falls, got similar problems. And what they do, and what I'd like to see us do, is that every morning when these complaints come in, usually the police respond, they file a complaint, then at that moment in time you say, we need to contact that person, we need to contact that landlord and see and let him know what's going on, him or her, right? Because most landlords don't live in the buildings that they rent,
right,
which makes them absentee, which is a misnomer. We won't go too much into that, but you could be in Niagara, you could live next door to your two-family and you're an absentee landlord. So if I don't know what's happening, or if you don't know what's happening with your property, how can you take corrective actions? The police can get on the phone, they can send you an email, or they can send you paper mail. And that opens up a dialogue with you and the police so that you say, okay, this is what took place. Because I need to know what took place. Is this something where I need to sit down with my tenant and say, remember when we agreed, pay the rent on time, take care of the property, and get along with your neighbors? Well, this is the getting along with your neighbors part. So when that happens, I give them the first of 3 written warnings. Because you have to build a case before you can evict someone, have someone evicted. So you do the 1, 2, 3 steps, and we do that now. We did this before the nuisance ordinance, and now it's just coming into play. But I also need to know maybe it's more than just a simple nuisance. Maybe it is a serious breach of contract. That it could be drugs. It could be. I can't have that in my building because you're going to scare all the other good
If you're
tenants
not in
away.
the loop, you're not going to know about it, and
Right.
so this ordinance will mandatorily contact you and get you involved.
And it'll help people in the city of Niagara Falls give them a tool to be proactive with their problem.
Cool. Anything else you want to? You can come back.
You know what?
Everyone's.
I get
it's
that.
always an open to all of you people out there running for mayor or council or whatever. You're welcome at the hub, and
This
we're
is
an
a- this is
equal
a con-
opportunity interviewer.
This is a complex set of problems that one of the things I probably like about it. So in closing, I would say it's like this Rubik's, and you're trying to figure out. Things are so interrelated. You can't really make one thing happen unless you have something working in concert. So it's really like a symphony, and everybody's got to come together with this thing. And so there are too many things to get into. I think we covered what we could today, but I'll be happy to come back. And as a matter of fact, if you have any questions about what I've written here, it's a lot to take in at one time. I'll be happy to answer more questions. And I'll be happy to answer anybody else's question that's out there on a one-on-one or a group session in your home. It doesn't matter.
Cool. A symphony, like the BPO, which is Bob Pascoal's organization. How's
There
that?
you go.
That works.
It's very creative.
That works.
Very creative.
That's all I got.
Hey, thanks
Good
for having me
drugs in
on.
school. See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.